Hi, and welcome to this video series that is for new hires. I'm glad you've joined me. You're going to get lots of information. I am Linda Mann, payroll specialist at the district office at Junction City School District, and I'm going to be walking you through 3 different videos. The first one is general information. The second one will be forms, some required, some optional. And then the third one will be your benefit package. And so you'll want to watch all 3 videos. You are watching this because I sent you a link, and included in that link was a packet of papers that you need to have. If you have not printed them out just yet, go ahead and stop the video. Get those papers printed so you can have them in hand as I'm walking through them. Okay? So here we go. This will be section 1 and general information, and here we go. So the first thing is, the first page on your packet is my information page, and it has what I just told you, the 3 sections that we're going to go through, and it has my email address. That's important because you will go ahead and jot down questions or comments, whatever that you want to share with me later. If you have questions, send it onto my email and I will answer your questions as soon as I can. So that's that page. Let's get going right through here. The next one is the calendar. This calendar is put out every year, and it is approved by the board. It will have all of the student days, all of the non-student days, but here's what's important for you to know. When you look at this calendar, it is made for teachers and students. Sometimes the calendars are different. For example, an instructional assistant only works when kids are in school. They do not necessarily work every day that a teacher works. So when you're looking at this calendar, make sure you pay attention if it is a student day. Like I said, for instructional assistants, you can keep it in mind this way. Student days are work days for you. Now, if you're in the office, or if you're custodial, or if you're in the daycare, those have different calendars. You'll need to check with your supervisor to get that exact calendar. Okay, but it does have the main things like your Christmas and winter break, your spring break. Those things are all on there, and they will be the same for all staff. The next thing on the list is the salary schedule. That's what we all want to look at, and as you can see, it's set up as a grid. There's 16 columns across the top, and then the different job descriptions down on the left side. So you're going to find your position that you've been hired to, and you will likely start at step 1. If you have done this exact job at another school district, then you may have opportunity to start at a different step. But for all practical purposes, you're going to start at step 1. So then how do you move to step 2, 3, 4, and on up there? It's different for every person. You will move a step on your hire anniversary. So if you were hired April 1st, then next year on April 1st, you will move to step 2, and so on and so on. So that's how you get across the columns into those step advancements. So it's pretty simple. Find your position, start at column 1. Unless you have one of those extra circumstances, then you might start at a higher column. So the next thing is the Junction City contract. As you can see, that's thick, and I certainly don't want you to go through that right now, but there is valuable information in there. It's not something that you're going to want to, line the birdcage with. You want to keep that. It has things like who is considered family by the state of Oregon regulations. What are my paid holidays? Who can I use sick leave for? All these different things are in this contract. I will allude to some of them in a brief way, but all the details are in this contract. So you'll want to keep that. Not only do you have that printed out copy, it is also on the Junction City website that you can always refer to it there. The next page is a letter from Allison Covey, our business manager. You don't need to read it right now. I do recommend that you read it, but basically she talks about three things. She talks about payroll, she talks about PERS, and she talks about insurance, your benefit package. So the part I want to talk about right now is the way we do payroll. And this is different than probably any other industry you've worked in if you haven't worked for a school district before. So this is important stuff for you to know. How you get paid, we pay monthly. Our pay period is the 16th of the month through the 15th of the month, and that pay period is paid the last working day of the month. So I know that gets a little tricky, but that's our pay period. So if you are, let's say you're a 6-hour instructional assistant and you're hired before school starts, so you have the full calendar year. So an instructional assistant is 182 days. And if you're a 6-hour, so we're going to take the 6 hours times 182 days. That's how many hours you're going to work in this school year. Then you're going to multiply that by your rate. And so then you have your total amount that you're going to earn for the year. I'm going to divide that by 12, and you are going to get 12 equal checks starting in September. And in June, you will get 3 equal checks that are for June, July, and August. And so I know this is a little confusing and it's a little different way to work, to look at payroll, but it works out well. For example, when you're off 2 weeks for winter break, you're not going to get a short check in January. You're going to get a full regular check. Same thing after the spring break. You won't get a deducted check. You'll get that same full check. And then, like I said, in June, you will get 3 checks. So that will take you through the summer months. And so that is how our payroll works. And we'll just move on from there. So the next item is an incident accident report. This is not something that you need to carry with you or keep in your cubby hole. Your secretaries and your health room have these available to you, but it's important that you are familiar with it and know what it's there for. First of all, an incident accident report is just for that. You're going to report something that happened. It does not mean that you're filing a claim, a workers' comp claim. It just is saying that something happened. You use this report for yourself, for a coworker, for a student, a visitor in the building. It doesn't matter. This is the report we use to say that something happened. For an example, kids are gone for the day and you're tidying up the classroom, you're kind of hurrying, and so you trip on an electrical cord. Well, you fall down and you feel silly, and you shake it. No, I'm fine. So, but 2 days later, when you come to work, you think, my goodness, my hand is numb. I don't know what happened. It must have been when I fell. And you say that to the secretary, and the secretary says, well, I didn't know you fell. What happened? So that's why we want to fill out this report. So one, we do have a record of that something happened. In case one, if you end up being injured later, we can deal with it. But another reason is these reports go to the safety committee. The safety committee is going to look at this and say, why did we have an electrical cord strung across the room? That is not safe. We have to fix that right away. So that's another reason why we do these reports. But again, if you did have to go to the doctor, this report is going to be what they're going to use to substantiate a workers' comp claim. So again, filling out a report is not filing a claim. It's there in case you need to, and it's for the safety reason. If you don't want to fill one of these out every time you bump your elbow or get a hangnail, but you do want to fill them out on the times you need to. If you're not sure, ask a coworker, ask the secretary, ask somebody, say, hey, this happened. What do you think? Should we fill out a form? And that's all there is to it. Okay? Again, you don't need to keep this on you. The secretaries and the health room have these available for you should you need one. Okay? How you doing? Sticking with me? Did you stop it and go get coffee or something? That's okay, but just come back and finish the video, okay? That'd be great. So the next paper is explanation of your leave time. each individual gets several different kinds of leave. For example, again, I'm going to go with the example that you're a 6-hour instructional assistant, okay? So you will get 10 days of sick leave. Again, assuming you started at the beginning of the school year. If you start in the middle of the year, everything I say to you will be prorated based on when you started in the year. So let's say you're that 6-hour instructional assistant, you're going to get 10 days worth of sick leave. So that means at the beginning of the school year, I'm going to front load you 60 hours of sick leave that is available to you throughout the year. Now, sick leave is, again, remember I talked about that contract? It's going to explain the things that you can use sick leave for and who you can use sick leave for. Sick leave is for you and or a family member. Again, I said in the contract, it's going to say by regulations of the state of Oregon, who is a family member? Your grandparents, yes, your parents, your children, your siblings, your neighbor, not so much. And don't laugh at me, but I've had people try to take sick leave for their animals. We love them, they're close to us, they're like family, but even the state of Oregon at this time does not recognize them as family. So you can't take sick leave for your pets. That would be personal leave, and I'll get to that in a minute. So you have your sick leave, and you're going to use it for yourself or your family. When you're using it for yourself, it is considered sick leave. When you're using it for your family, it's considered family leave, although it comes out of that same bucket of 60 hours that you were front loaded at the beginning of the school year. Okay? And then the second leave that you will have is personal leave. You will get 2 personal leave days awarded to you again at the beginning of the year. And those are exactly that, personal leave days. You can take them because you want to go to the coast. You can take them because you have some banking you need to do that, obviously they're not open in the evenings or weekends, different things. It's personal leave, so you can take it for whatever it comes up in your life. But with personal leave, when at all possible, we like that to be pre-arranged. And the reason why is if, let's say, Willie Nelson is coming to town and half of the classified staff all want to be gone on Friday to go see Willie Nelson, we can't have half of the staff gone. So, again, per the contract, only so many people can be out of the building on any particular day for personal leave. So, like I said, whenever it's possible, we like the personal leave to be prearranged, and that prearrangement doesn't come through me, it comes through your administrator. Now, there's going to be those odd times that you can't prearrange. You get up, you're ready to go to work in the morning, and you go out and your car has a flat tire. Well, that's not sick leave. That would definitely be personal leave, but you can't prearrange that. You didn't know you were going to get a flat tire. So there are the exceptions when personal leave will be allowed to not be prearranged. But for the most part, definitely we want personal leave to be prearranged. Another leave you will get is bereavement, and that is 5 days at your hourly rate. So again, 6 hours, 5 days, so you get 30 hours. And bereavement is something that I hope you never have to use, but it is there in case you do need to have it. So, one more, there's professional leave, and that is not something that will cost you anything either in leave or in money, but if your supervisor asked you to go to a conference or something, some kind of training, then you would use personal leave. You're going to do the same process, which I'm going to explain in a minute, if you were to use personal leave. But again, I don't front load any personal leave because I don't know if you will use it or not. So that will show up on your check as a negative hours. If you went to a training for a full day, then the next month you're going to see on your check under personal leave, you're going to see minus 6 hours. Don't panic. That's just the way it's recorded, and it's the way I can keep track of how many professional leave hours we use throughout the year. So the next page there is the next three, the explanation I just showed you, the time card I'm going to talk about now, and then the absentee. These all go together as part of your attendance. So keep in mind, these all work together. So the next page is the timesheet, and as you can see, it starts on the 16th, ends on the 15th, because remember I mentioned that our payroll goes, our time period goes from the 16th to the 15th of every month. So you're going to fill this out, and you can see that there's a column for regular hours. That's where you're going to put your 6 hours straight down all the way. Should you use some sick leave, then you can see that there's the next column. It says leave hours. If you were gone the whole day, you're going to put 0 in regular hours. You're going to put 6 in the leave hours, which makes it for a total of 6. Or maybe you worked 3 and you're gone 3 because you just had a dental appointment in the afternoon or something. So you're going to put your regular hours in that first column. Any leave hours, doesn't matter if it's for the sick leave, the personal leave, professional leave, whatever it is, you're going to put those in that next column. Now, occasionally, only by the direction of your supervisor, you're going to have additional hours. And you can see that's the next column there in your time card. If you work additional hours, again, this should be pre-approved by your supervisor, that's where those hours are going to be. So you're going to have your 6 hours and then skip a line, and then in that third column, you're going to have 2 hours additional because there was a meeting or something that supervisor asked you to stay for. So then that will be there, bringing your total hours for that day to 8 hours. So it's pretty self-explanatory how you're going to use, fill out the time card. If you do have additional hours, you'll see keep going over to the right, there's a place for you to put an explanation. So I would like you to write on there, after school staff meeting, or the buses were late, had to stay for kids. Just give me a brief description so I know what I'm doing with this additional time. And of course, your supervisor, your administrator is going to sign off on this time card anyway, so they will be looking at that additional time also. Okay, just a reminder, you don't ever get to, just work extra because there's stuff to do, because trust me, in the school there's always stuff to do. And so stick to your original hours as much as possible and as much as your administrator instructs you. So then the last form in this packet is the absentee report. So every time that you are gone from the building, whether it's for sick leave, for family leave, for personal leave, whatever the reason, you're going to fill out an absentee report. So if there's anything in that second column, that absent column, anything at all, then there has to be an absentee report to back that up. So it's simple, your name, again, your secretary has these forms. You don't have to keep them with you at all times. You're going to put the date and your name, and you're going to put a reason why you were gone. It's simple. It shows the sick leave, the family leave. Again, that's from the same bucket of time, but we do differentiate between sick leave and family leave. The personal leave, the same thing, all these ones. You can see there's vacation. That doesn't pertain to you unless you're a 12-month employee, and in the classified, it's only your custodians that are 12-month employees. There's one that says will pay sub. That's for teachers. You don't need to pay attention to that one. There's one that says will pay, or excuse me, without pay. Now that may happen to you, especially new employees. You don't have a lot of sick leave built up. And so if you've had, you have a couple of kids and the flu went through your house, you have to stay home with the kids, and so you've used up some of your sick leave. Well, the kids got better and now you have the flu. You may run out of sick leave. So then the next thing's going to happen is we're going to access your personal leave. But if those are gone too, then it will be without pay. And so that's what you will just mark on the box. And if you don't know if you're out of sick leave, first of all, it's always going to be printed on your paycheck through that time period. It'll always be printed on your paycheck. But if you don't know, that's okay. My computer, my system, it knows how much. So if you mark sick leave, but you didn't have any sick leave available, it's going to know, and we're going to bump it straight to personal leave. If that is gone too, it will bump it straight to without pay. Okay, there's another one that says good cause leave. That's really kind of a tricky one, and it can only happen, you will only get good cause leave by the approval of superintendent. An example I have is several years ago, we had a teacher who went to Mexico for spring break. About the day or the day before he was to fly home, they had a horrible storm. They lost electricity, no flights were coming in and out. He didn't have a way to let us know. He just didn't show up Monday morning, and we were all concerned with him, trying to find him, and then we finally found out that he was stuck in Mexico. So when he got home on Wednesday, he sent an email to the superintendent, said, here's my story. It was completely unavoidable, and she paid those 2 days as good cause leave. Like I say, that's going to be a rare time, but that's what it's for, and that's why it's on the paperwork there. So one thing I forgot to mention about your leave is sick leave rolls over from year to year to year. So if you don't use it all this year, if you ended up with 20 hours left over, then next year you're going to start with 20 hours. You're going to be given that 60 hours, so you're going to have 80 hours, and then the longer you work, the more it adds up, and you have a large amount of sick leave available to you. Personal leave, on the other hand, does not roll over. It goes away. And so just keep that in mind. It's certainly not required that you use it. It's there for you if the opportunity should be there. So that is the end of my first section of general information that you need to know. And so I hope that you've written down questions for me or even notes to yourself that you want to remember. Email me if you have any questions. And thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.